If you ever wondered, like, what are some old shoujo manga that would be great for me to start and try if you're like jumping in for the first time, well, today's video is gonna be just for you as we are building our own retro shoujo manga starter pack. Hello friends, happy Wednesday, so very excited that you're here. Today's actually going to be wrapping up this themed event, that we have been doing, talking about featuring retro shoujo manga. We're journeying through time, I think as I called this series. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. We've had so much fun. We talked about how I'm not really familiar with older shoujo manga, so we talked about manga that's making a comeback, so thankfully we can actually try these titles. Though there are some out-of-print manga that I am familiar, and I talked about that last week of like, hey, I would love to see these also make their own comeback, get reprinted, get a new license, something just so that I could read them, because I think they're underrated gems that I don't see a lot talked about in the community, but at least I think they would be gems if I could just try them. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about both of those videos in today's nutshell, because we're going to build our own starter pack. And you might be like, well, Laura, you just said you're not really familiar with older series. You're not wrong, friend. You're not wrong. That's why using this template that I made, or this graphic, I broke it down into 6 different categories and pulled what I felt were some of the more well-known titles within these categories, because as the first category says, magical girls are a necessity. I really feel like a lot of magical girl manga is how many people experience or try their first retro shoujo manga, so I felt like that was a necessity. And then of course we need Clamp. Clamp is a like foundational block, I feel like, for retro shoujo. And then going back to the video that I did reference from last week of someone physically published this out-of-print series already, but you'll see a few different choices than what I originally had in that video. And then the next one being, thankfully this manga is making a comeback. Likewise, you will see at least one title that was not in that video. And of course, classics are tried and true. You just can't go wrong with the classics. And that was actually a lot of fun doing some research for that category specifically. And I thought it'd be fun to do. You just had to be there. There are some out-of-print manga, or at least older titles, that they're sort of dated, I guess you would say. And I feel like the people who love these series are the ones that were reading it as it was coming out. Because if you were to give it to a newer manga reader today, they may be like, no, these tropes need to go. These tropes need to go. So we're going to go through each of these categories one by one. And if you're seeing these images and you're like, Laura, I have no idea what these titles are, don't worry. I'm going to make sure as we go through this video that you can see what these titles are in case you yourself are interested in them. And then of course at the very end, or even I guess you could just pull it now, but you can go online and share how you would build your shoujo starter manga pack if you wanted to share the graphic that I made. But let's go ahead and jump right in, talking about magical girls are a necessity. Starting from left to right, we have Mermaid Melody, Peachy Peachy Pitch, and then we have Saint Tail, Phantom Thief Jean, Sailor Moon, and Tokyo Mew Mew. I almost put this on the comeback one because we do have I think it's a 2-in-1 omnibus that's out from Kodansha. I am struggling on this one, to be truthful, because the only one technically I've read from this list is Phantom Thief Jean. But Sailor Moon was my introduction to anime / manga, even though when I read a Sailor Moon manga many years ago, I had no idea that it was called manga. And it was, I guess, whatever version of this is. Like, I don't know if that's Tokyo Pop or something else. But again, I just thought it was really cool art. It was like a volume 6 or volume 7 and had no idea. Didn't even go out of my way to go find the other ones. I'm like, oh, it's Sailor Moon. That's my favorite. Let's go get it. And Phantom Thief Jean, I actually just read this year for the very first time. Really incredible experience. There was just one character that I was like, I'm not a fan of this guy. The series itself was phenomenal. Saint Tail, I have heard so many glowing things about this. I do feel it's one that I would enjoy. Same as Mermaid Melody, Peachy Peachy Pitch. I'm bummed, honestly, that Kodansha, we have the sequel to this. But I'm like, well, you could read the sequel, which is digital only, but I'm like, how are you supposed to appreciate these characters if you haven't read the original series? So it'd be nice if they did something with that, honestly. And then Tokyo Mew Mew way at the end. I think I had this part of my shoujo event a few years ago of I did like a series of polls where you could vote out of 2 different manga to bring it back for this year's event. And this one, goodness, I think it went against Cardcaptor Sakura, I think. Don't worry, stay tuned for that. But I don't think it made it to the next round. So I feel like, truthfully, I could only go between Phantom Thief Jean and Sailor Moon. And I feel like that's a really hard one. Since I haven't read Sailor Moon, and I feel like Sailor Moon could be great to try, whether that's manga or anime, I'm gonna go with Phantom Thief Jean. I feel like also because of this creator, she's so popular and everybody has read her work, it feels like, at some point. Maybe not all of her work, but they've read it, they've tried it. Like, she is the shoujo staple for many, many people. So I feel like Phantom Thief Jean would be a really great way to be introduced to the Magical Girl manga, despite that it does at one point near, I think it's like the last volume or the second to last volume. I read the 2-in-1 omnibus, so hard to say which volume it is. And it goes a little bit left field, if I'm honest, but I feel like the heart of this series was so moving. It was definitely a manga I wish I had when I read it when I was younger. I feel like it would have been impactful, and it was still very impactful as an adult. Definitely made me tear up, feel a lot of different emotions. So I'm gonna go with Phantom Thief Jean as my final answer for Magical Girls Are a Necessity. And you might be thinking, well, Cardcaptor Sakura should have been part of that, but that's where we go into our next category of, well, of course, we need Clamp. And I did struggle with this because I'm like, well, technically these first two could go in the Magical Girl category, and that is Cardcaptor Sakura, Magic Knight Rayearth, and then outside of Magical Girls, Clamp School Detectives, Tokyo Babylon, and Wish. Now, we do have all of these series available in English. I know that I have some Japanese covers. I did that more for aesthetic than the actual it being the English cover, because like Tokyo Babylon, we have a re-release by Yen Press. I forget what they're calling it. It's the Ultimate Collection though for Tokyo Babylon. And then Clamp School Detectives, we do technically have available in English. It's just available digitally by Viz Media. I didn't even know that we had it until I was doing research for this category. That is one I would definitely love to read. But I'm struggling with this one because, like the previous category, I've only read one, and that is Magic Knight Rayearth. And I love this series. I used to have the hardbacks. I do have a video review on this channel. I would so recommend it. It was amazing. It really has one of the best plot twists I have ever read in manga. Like, I don't know if I will ever forget that plot twist. And the shock I felt sitting in my car at the school car line waiting for my kids to get out, just not knowing what to think, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. So I just sat there like speechless. Very, very good. Wish is one I have personally wanted to try. I've had friends who have read it and have really enjoyed it. I believe it's about an angel that is helping somebody. Tokyo Babylon, people have said that I might like it, but it might be a little bit too dark for me, so I probably wouldn't choose that. Cardcaptor Sakura, I feel like it is so well loved that I'm just, maybe it's sort of like Sailor Moon though, where you could try the manga or the anime and still really be able to get into the series and appreciate it. So my pick is going between Magic Knight Rayearth and then Clamp School Detectives. I guess so, in all fairness, I gotta go with Magic Knight Rayearth since I haven't read Clamp School Detectives, but there are some categories later in the video that I haven't read anything from that, and I'm just basing it off my personal feelings, because I sort of do want to say Clamp School Detectives, but I haven't even read a preview, so we're gonna lock it in, and we're gonna say Magic Knight Rayearth, because this was such an incredible series. And I feel like too, it can go outside of the magical girl genre because of different elements. Like there's mystery in there, and there's some political stuff that's happening, and there's the whole fantasy element, and the world building is incredible. Like that was the only thing that I remember not loving as much in the second part, since it's broken into part 1 and part 2, because part 1 has like these awesome like Gundams, like hello, yes, I'm here for this, or mecha, excuse me. I love the world building so much and how we were getting introduced to these different countries in part 2 that I wanted more of that. I so wish Clamp had the opportunity or took the opportunity to fully expand this incredible world that they made. So definitely if you're a fan of world building, even if it's not explored to the maybe like the max potential, it is good. Like there's so many different elements into this that I don't feel bad for choosing it, despite that I'm sure these other titles are really, really good. Sort of like this next one, if someone physically published this out of print series already, we have Gals, Swan, Koracha, Gakun Alice, and Please Save My Earth. I haven't read any of these, though I do confess I did try Please Save My Earth and it wasn't quite for me, so I do feel that's not one I'm personally going to choose. Now, if you saw that video that I did last week, I spoke very highly of Gals and Swan. I actually did try the first episode of Gals and I really, really enjoyed it, so I do feel like that is going to be my pick of Gals. I loved everything that I watched in the anime. It definitely was speaking to my heart. It was so much fun, though it was sort of funny because it did have some language in the beginning. I was like, oh, I didn't know this had it. So, but I really loved the characters. I loved the art style. I mean, I know it's like just in the anime, but I feel like they adapted the art style from the manga very, very well based off of the covers and things I've seen. So I truly feel like Gals would be my answer. Since I haven't read Alice and I haven't read the others, I mean, Swan, it does give me pause because the art of that is just so stunning, and sports shoujo manga is just so underrepresented. But Gals, yeah, I'm going with Gals, friends. I felt like this was a little bit easier to choose from, but this next one, no. Thankfully, this manga is making a comeback. Oh my goodness. No, I don't even know. So we have Shugo Chara. I did the anniversary edition because I really love the cover of this. Then Sugar Sugar Ruin, and then DNN Angel, Mars. They Were 11. They Were 11 is one I still need to get, and I love how it's a sci-fi, so it is very different than everything that is mentioned or like shown here. But I guess looking at this, I think I'm going to give it to Mars because Mars was my actual first introduction to manga, where I purposely knew this was manga, unlike Sailor Moon. I read several volumes of this because I was at my best friend's house and she had Fruits Basket and Mars, and she said, choose one you want to try, because I told her I'd never read manga, and she was so shocked. She's like, you have to read this right now. I was spending the night at her house, I remember staying up late, and so I chose Mars because I thought the covers were nicer. I do apologize. Granted, I have since read Fruits Basket, and I was very strongly impacted by the series. But I think, yeah, I would go with Mars because of the impact this series had on me. I haven't read any of the others, and I don't know enough about them where I feel like I can say these are greater than Mars. I mean, I feel like I'm not trying to do that. It's just, I feel like I don't know even a bare minimum to say anything really about it when Mars has such strong attachment for me, nostalgia, memory of how it just impacted me as a whole, especially since I feel like Mars has one of the most compelling, I think it's the right word, compelling villains I've ever read that really freaked me out, that I had to put the book down and I was like, oh my goodness, like this guy is a lot. He was a very interesting baddie that made me feel some feelings of, and those being related to fear. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Mars, despite when I first look at this, I was really unsure because I feel like I would enjoy all of the others, and They Were 11 is praised so much. I mean, same as Shugo Chara, like I've seen a lot of great things said about that, and then on Twitter I've shared when we talked about the license announcement when I was like, hey, should I read DNN Angel? And they're like, yes, like overwhelming, yes. Sugar Sugar Ruin, I feel like there's a lot of love for this, and based off of people I know who have read it, who have similar tastes to me, that I feel like I'm also going to really enjoy this quite a bit. But we're getting to the categories where I've read nothing at all. And the next one being classics are tried and true. Yeah, I've read none of these, so let's go through them. We have Rose of Versailles, The Heart of Thomas, Princess Knight, Starclock Liddell, and Basara. I truly don't know what to pick. I know the least amount about The Heart of Thomas and Starclock Liddell, but I do know Starclock is coming from Glacier Bay Books. I don't know if the pre-order is still open. They did recently reopen it, so if you're interested in getting that, that is an opportunity, a chance to do so. Princess Knight, I believe my friend Bizarre Individual, that he recommended this to me. I know, was it this year or last year? It was in my shoujo event. And unfortunately, I don't think it made it past the first round, unfortunately. But I have been curious about this one because I believe it was like a girl that's born with two different hearts. She's struggling, like, what is her gender, so to speak. I do apologize if I'm butchering that. But I do remember she is very much struggling with what she's been told of how she needs to be, what she needs to wear, and how she needs to act. The Heart of Thomas, I unfortunately don't know anything about this series. Got like a deluxe edition from, is it Fantagraphics? I know it's a one publisher that just went all out, and they're very, very beautiful. Rose of Versailles is one I have really, really wanted to try. I was so crushed it did not make it past round 2, I believe, in last year's shoujo event that I did of What Should I Read and Review. I was so hoping it could go all the way. Like, I was really, really, really hoping so. And then we have Basara, which I see so much love for Basara on Twitter. I mean, even outside of Twitter, but I definitely feel outside of Chihayafuru, I feel like Basara is the #1 thing that people want on Twitter. Meanwhile, I feel like if you were to go over to Instagram, it would be From Far Away and then Basara. So it's sort of interesting of seeing that difference of what people really like. I truly, I feel like it's going between Rose of Versailles and Basara. So my friend Tony recently reviewed Basara on her channel, and she said it does have several dark moments. It's darker than I feel like what other people have shared about this series. So I sort of want to say Rose of Versailles for this category, despite again that I haven't read it. I do feel like the themes in this manga would resonate a lot with me, and I feel like I would be deeply inspired. I know it has like a mix of sort of everything. I don't know if it has mystery per se, but it definitely has that historical vibe, that historical feel and whatnot for the plot. But I do believe it does have some romance, because I feel like with the character on the cover that's brown hair, I feel like she has one with somebody. I'm not fully sure. And I just feel like Oscar would be an incredible character to follow as a reader. So I think I'm gonna lock in Rose of Versailles. Really just goes to show for me personally, I need to get on reading it, because I'm pretty confident when I last looked, if it hasn't changed, my library had, if it's a is it 4 volumes? I think it's 4 volumes with the volume 5 being a spinoff. That was the only one they did not have at the time when I last checked. So I guess I need to log in and actually make sure that that happens. And while, saying all of that, I realized that was 5 categories. It's called Top 5 Wednesday, but this is sort of like an honorable mention, self-indulgent for the very last one of You Just Had to Be There, because I thought this would be a really fun category, and at least hope for people that whether they do anything with the graphic or not, I just hope that it brings these readers that are fans of these series a little bit of happiness. That was part of why I wanted to include it. Here we go. We have Hot Gimmick, Maid Sama, Boys Over Flowers, Vampire Knight, and Peach Girl. I have tried Maid Sama. I didn't really like it, and I feel deeply in the minority because I actually didn't like the female lead. I don't understand why people say that the guy is a red flag. I did not feel that way. I don't know if I didn't read far enough, but I thought he was great. I was really bothered by the female lead. So yeah, that's probably a little bit of a hot take saying that. Peach Girl, I think I remember trying this digitally at some point, and I don't remember, I don't want to say I didn't like it, but I felt it was not for me. I know it's very, very dramatic and over the top. I think it does have a little bit of sports element, because isn't she a swimmer, I think? And this is, as we mentioned in my manga news video this past Monday, if the Humble Bundle is still going that Kodansha is doing of Fall in Love with Shoujo manga, Peach Girl's actually on or in that Humble Bundle. So if you've wanted to try it, that gives an opportunity to do so, because you get volume 1, you get like 5 volume 1s for the price of $1, and Peach Girl was part of that. So I don't really know there. I'm not a huge fan of love triangles, so I feel like for Peach Girl and Boys Over Flowers, I feel like that's sort of going to be out for me. I mean, honestly, look at the cover of Vampire Knight. That would probably be a given, but I have friends, I especially think of my friend Alex, that loves Vampire Knight, that I'm tempted to try this one. I sort of feel like this might be a really good pick for this category, because we got the Vampire Knight box set, earlier this year? I only know one person who's bought it. Somebody else said that they did buy the box set, but I don't know them. I mean, we're more of, I just say, acquaintances who follow each other on Twitter. I feel like this is very much one you had to be there, because I don't really know any manga readers, will say, from this year who've gotten into Vampire Knight and be like, I'm a huge fan of this. Or like Vampire Knight Memories. Usually the only people I really know who are really invested in it are the original fans of when the series came out several years ago. I sort of want to say Vampire Knight, but Hot Gimmick definitely feels like I have been strongly warned not to try Hot Gimmick. And I can't remember all the things I've been told about this, but I know for a fact it would not be me. But this is another one I feel like would be a really good one for a potential winner for this category. Boys Over Flowers, I unfortunately don't know much about this, except for I'm pretty sure it's a love triangle. But if there's a delinquent in that manga though, I don't know. I can't just cross it off, you know what I mean? Like, gotta give some love to the delinquents. I don't feel like I'm gonna go for Maid Sama, despite that definitely seems like the least love triangle one in this bunch. But since I didn't personally enjoy that, I don't feel right saying that. I sort of think I'm gonna say Vampire Knight. I mean, I know Hot Gimmick would be the other one, because I do see people who still get into Peach Girl now, today. Maybe the same for Boys Over Flowers. So I really feel like the contender would be between Hot Gimmick and Vampire Knight. Knight, but Vampire Knight, I don't know. I just feel like it's something that brings a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, so we're gonna lock it in. I'm just gonna say Vampire Knight for my final answer as well. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and so looking back at everything, I feel really confident in my picks. I mean, I haven't read too many of these, but I do feel like, yeah, I'm happy with everything that I chose, and hopefully you're like, yeah, I think you did great, but I would love to know, what would you choose for your starter pack and how you would build it? I would love to hear your takes and your feelings on this. I truly hope that having different options helps, because my goal and hope was, even for myself, that since I don't know many, just pulling one randomly out, I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. But if you give me some options, I could choose from that. So hopefully that has been helpful. I'll leave a link down below in case if you want to share the graphic anywhere with your friends. I'll leave it down below in where you can go download it. And yeah, again, let me know what you think. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I'm planning to do another starter pack, but it's going to be all villainesses for my villainous event. Stay tuned for Friday so you can vote for the villainous manga you want to see me read and review on my channel. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!